Hey, we got Valerie, your vegan health coach, in the closet today. Gary, Manchild Black, Birdie. Yes, I have to be honest with you. Hey, I'm basically doing this for 3 different cameras today. Just a little experiment to see what will happen. But anyway, can everyone hear me okay? Can you hear me okay out there? So, April 30th, and here I am in the closet again. And I have to be honest, I had dinner this time. I had to eat a little something before today's back in the closet. Thank you, Manchild Black, for the delicious dinner, which was a really yummy coconut curry, vegetables, and rice with vegetarian sausage. Oh, and it just kind of filled me up. Just like, ooh. So, I want to thank you all for tuning in today. My apologies for feeling like I just need to take a little nap. Feeling very much that today, nap time. As the rain comes down, the sky is so gray, and all I want to do is just curl up in the blanket and take a nap. But no time for that because I'm back in the closet. And I just want to check in with everyone out there and see how you're doing today. Let me know how you're doing. I see that Kate Pala just joined, and Kate Pala's up in the closet today. Hey everybody, I hope you're doing well in this new phase that we seem to have entered. I know that I've entered a new phase. This phase feels a bit less anxiety filled. A little less anxiety. It shifts here and there, but I've kind of gotten to this point where I'm just easing into just being where we are, in this new reality that we're living in right now. And, that somehow has entered a place where I'm feeling like I'm just handling things as they come. This whole online thing has just kind of like started to establish what it is for right now. And we're excited about building on what we have, these platforms to work with, new technology, lights, camera action, like so many possibilities, and we're here for it. Like now that we got that down and all that excitement, like, oh my God, we gotta do this, gotta do that, gotta do this, gotta do that, and now we've entered this place where we're starting to go, oh, wait a minute, pull that back, and pull that back, and just gently lay them down and handle those things as they come. Prioritize, organize, and just ride the wave. Whatever wave is coming, we're just riding on through it. Right? Riding that wave. Thanks for joining today, y'all. I'm going to probably try and do less leaning in and out because I have another camera that, like I said, over here on another computer that's also recording. I'm just playing around with that idea and seeing how it goes. I have some questions today that were actually sent to me through email. And I just want to put this out there to all of you viewers out there. If by chance there's something that you'd like to ask me, feel free to send me an email at monstahblackworks@gmail.com. That's MONSTAH Black WORKS @gmail.com. And if I have the answer, I'll answer it. And even if I don't have the answer, I will answer with something. So I just want to put that out there. I will mention it again throughout today's closet, just so that everyone can, jump in on that if they like. And the first thing that I want to say, there are a few things that I have set up in place today that I will try to get to and point out. But I'm holding on to those things because I'd just like to talk a little bit first. And I want to check in with the viewers just to make sure that everyone's okay out there. I want to send out a virtual hug, as you can see. Over here, you can't see it, but maybe a little bit in the corner. Virtual hugs, spelling it backwards for all of those forward thinkers out there. And, it is now April 30th. Let's see. We've been in quarantine now for X amount of weeks. And it's starting to feel like, okay, people are getting a little like, oh my God, how much longer is this going to happen? But also, it is also looking like it could very easily be a whole nother like few weeks, maybe even a couple of months before we get out of here. But, so with that being said, think about the things that you can still do to like keep yourself from going haywire. There's always things you can do so that you don't go haywire. For example, walks around the park, going outside, but still protecting yourself. Wear what you need to wear. Wear your gloves, wear your mask, make sure you stay that 6 or 7 feet away, keeping that spatial awareness happening. But, you can take a walk or a jog or a bike ride, something to get out of the house, because I do feel like it's the idea of having to stay inside of whatever boxes or box you might be inside of right now. You want to take some time to get out of that box. You know what I mean? Yes, you know what I mean. So that's one thing that you can kind of get more into. The other thing you can get into, take up a new hobby. I had no idea back in January and even February that Manchild and I would all of a sudden be getting excited about experimenting in the kitchen. Experimenting in the kitchen? I'm gonna do what? Experimenting in the kitchen? I'm gonna do what? And here I am experimenting in the kitchen, playing around with seasonings, playing around with vegetables, playing around with vegetarian meat, all that sort of thing, and that is helping me take my mind off of this quarantine. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. I can't always keep my mind off the quarantine because there's always something there that reminds me that we're quarantined. But hey, this is the opportunity for me to grow. But I don't want to grow out. I want to grow in my mind and my strength. So get out there, walk, jog, do jump roping, whatever, by yourself or with whoever you're quarantined with, and stay away from at least 7 feet, 6 feet away from people that are not in quarantine with you inside of your house or apartment or a loft or whatever you might be quarantined in right now. So that's that. Quarantine, food, health, all of those things. I've been thinking a lot more about planting and like taking care of plants and like growing my own herbs and spices in the kitchen. And so that's another little surprise for me that, I did not see coming, but I'm into it. So I see several people saying, yes, yes. People agree with me out there. This is really shifting us into our higher selves. And so I am really feeling that, this shift into my higher self. And, before I continue to ramble on over and over again about this, that, and the other thing, I do want to bring the focus back. Bring the focus back to the residency that I'm in, Jamaica Center for Arts and Learning. Now, Jamaica Center for Arts and Learning gave me a residency about a year ago now, year and a half ago. They gave me a chance to really dive headfirst into my process, which ultimately becomes the Illustrious Blacks process. So also Man-Child's process has the opportunity to exist up in there as well, the Illustrious Blacks process. I've been doing a lot of processing in the studio there. So I want to talk a little bit about that residency and the process before I continue on, because ultimately that's what this is all about. It's about the Jamaica Center for Arts and Learning artist in residency process, because now here I am still in the residency, but I'm back in the closet. So anyway, for me, the Jamaica Center for Arts and Learning residency process really, even though I was able to go there and be in that physical space, and now I'm not able to go there and be in that physical space, but I'm here in the closet, it's still giving me an opportunity to remix my process. Through the years, I've done this, that, and the other. I've always done A or B to get to C, D, E, and F. And what's happened now is that I am in quarantine, so A, B, C, D, E, F, and G looks completely different from the way that it looked before I was quarantined, right? So much freedom to just kind of like, well, freedom and not freedom, because although you would think there would be freedom within the residency, sometimes we don't allow ourselves to give ourselves freedom. So can be a sense of being trapped inside of your own mind. Do y'all hear what I'm saying? Do you hear what I'm saying when I say sometimes you can get trapped inside of your own mind? Trapped inside of what you believe to be who you're supposed to be, what you believe to be what you're supposed to do, what you believe to be how you're supposed to act. Okay? What you believe to be how you're supposed to create. So, with that being said, Jamaica Center for Arts and Learning has allowed me to, in a sense, step outside of myself. Okay? Because before I stepped into that residency, I had been dealing with some boxes that I was starting to put myself into. And if you know me, you know I don't like being put in a box. So, what the residency did was allowed me to come in, and although I would find myself up in the dance studio dancing around and creating phrases, I didn't have to be in the dance studio dancing around creating phrases. JCAL gave me the opportunity to, if I wanted to come, I could show up and just work on music. Or I could maybe go into another studio and work on costuming. If I wanted to paint, I could paint. If I wanted to write, I could write. There were no limitations put on what I was supposed to do. And that's one of the things that I love most about JCAL and other residencies as well that allow you to do that. Freedom to just create, right? And that's what I needed. But along with that came me stepping into that residency. Me stepping into that residency and still being stuck inside of my head in terms of what I'm supposed to do, right? Which goes back to footage that I have, dance phrases, because for a dancer to get into a studio and have so much space to move around, it's just like sometimes that's all you can think about. It's like getting in there and like being able to move and spread out, which I can't do so much of in this closet. But in a dance studio in front of mirrors, it's just like, oh, I can move. I can move my arms. I can move my legs. I can move everything. So that's basically what I fell into. With still working on sound, using my voice in the studio. All right? So, what I can say now about being quarantined is all of that had to get remixed. It hasn't been about me creating dance phrases or trying to remember dance phrases or videotaping myself improvising to catch what I like and turn it into a dance phrase. No. It's been about taking time for stillness. It's been about taking time to scope out my surroundings and think about what can be remixed from the past. Scoping out my surroundings and thinking about what can be used as a lighting source. It's about scoping out my surroundings and taking in what can be used as set design or prop. And so that is where I'm allowing myself to get out of my head and step into a new place, a reinvention, a remix on a theme. Because the themes are all there. You know, I've been, for example, this hat, the top hat has had a life in my world since I was a toddler. I've been wearing top hats, you know. This jacket, you know, like it wasn't a thrift store find. You know, this jacket was my father's jacket that he used to go walking in. So, you know, today, you know, I decided that let me go into the closet and see if I can pull out some stuff that I never really wear that much Never really wear it that much at all, but this is an opportunity for me to play around with the possibilities, play around with the look, play around with anything that I feel like playing around with at any moment in time. Any moment in time. When the mood strikes me. So yeah, when the mood strikes me, I tend to move a lot. But that's that. I needed that to get warmed up because it's been so rainy and cold outside. Like I just felt like all I wanted to do was like put on like rubber boots and a slicker to go into the closet today, which is why I'm wearing this jacket and a hat and a scarf because it is chilly. But I think I just warmed myself up. Let's see. Do a pajama party. Do a pajama Monstah Zoom party. I like the sound of that, actually. That sounds like a good idea. Thank you. Shay. Shay is up in the closet today. Hey, Shay. Hi. I had so much fun watching you like trot around the globe in your Instagram. Much love. Yes. So, where was I? I talked about the residency, and I had mentioned before that on Facebook, you might notice that I'm going back and forth between several different cameras. And the thing that gets to be annoying for me is that the scroll on Facebook on this computer doesn't go along with the actual time. So if you're asking me questions on Facebook or anywhere, I can't see them, you know. And bottom line today, because I'm wearing these sunglasses, I can barely see like Instagram because I'm not wearing my actual glasses with medicine in them. So like I can, you know, that's that. That's what it is today, April 30th, in this quarantine, COVID-19. I'm just going with whatever off the top of my head. You know, I can't see shit right now. So, excuse my language because I know that my mom is probably going to tune in later and she's going to be like, oh, really? Curse words. Oh my god. I have a potty mouth. So anyway, let's see. Oh, I have some more questions that came into my email that I can go into. Let's see what the next one is. How the quarantine shapes my process and outcome. Now, those of you who know me know that I have a history of doing improvised performances as well as choreographed performances. What I'm finding now, though, with the quarantine and everything is about streaming live on social media, I'm finding that it really works for me to give myself prompts, right? Prompts to kind of act as landmarks throughout my experience that I'm having, whether it be for 60 minutes, 2 hours, or 3 hours. Sometimes the DJ sets with the Illustrious Blacks are like 3 hours long. So I have to have prompts throughout. Otherwise, it just becomes I start to get too excited and I burn all of my energy up at once, right? But if I have like landmarks, then it helps to kind of calm me down. Okay? So that's where the prompts come in handy. Occasionally, I'll use maybe a little bit of a script or maybe an old song that I haven't used in a long time. And I'll take those lyrics and do them over whatever track is happening and add that in. There's a lot of that got focused on in the Jamaica Center for Arts and Learning residency, which will show up in the finale extravaganza that will be popping up at some point soon. Everything that begins has an ending, usually. So, all of those things will show up in peak moments, the finale extravaganza. Also, along with the prompts and the script, props also act as landmarks and guides to kind of help me shape directions that I'm going in, right? Like in this situation, my props pretty much become the screens. I got 1, 2, 3, right? Which is also giving me like different angles. It's almost like I'm almost working in the round right now, right? All I need is like maybe 3 or 4 more screens and I could just turn it into this whole like everywhere I go there's like a screen. So I guess that's probably the beauty of new media arts and performance studies. That's something that interests me for those people that are interested in the whole technological aspect of this whole streaming world that we're now having to exist inside of this surreal situation happening to us. Now, since being inside of here today, I've noticed that I've become a lot more movement oriented this week, which is interesting because the first couple of weeks I felt like I wasn't moving at all. So something has shifted since the first back in the closet, right? There's a shift that's happened. And I want to say that shift might involve discovering a new confidence inside of what the movement is for whatever I might be doing, you know? Again, getting out of my own way, getting out of my own head, and just being inside of the moment. And allowing those moments to open up and deliver what they will. Okay? So, that would be embracing movement limitations. Before you all started to tune in, I started trying to play around with a phrase that I've been working on in the residency. Now, it won't make much of a difference here. I'm going to just adjust the screen. It won't make much of a difference here because you don't know what the phrase was. Except for maybe a few of you who came to the workshops will actually know what the phrase is. But since being in this closet, I've tried to take that phrase one movement at a time to see how I can adjust it for the small space. This was a much bigger movement here. How do I adjust it so you can see the smaller things that originally were super subtle but now I have to turn them into something else so that they read on the screen. Now, what would have actually been a lot more exciting for me during that whole episode that I just went through with the movement phrase was actually literally falling into the wardrobe here, the hanging costumes, when I lost my balance. I personally love it when things happen that aren't supposed to happen. I love the mistakes. The magic and the beauty is in the mistakes. So although I caught my balance at that moment, I should have just let myself go and fall into all these clothes and everything that's around me. But then I have to factor in that maybe I would have actually fallen onto something that is a little bit harder under there, because there are things under here that I shouldn't be falling on. But it would have been funny nonetheless, and it might have fallen down on top of me completely. And I absolutely love moments like that, which is probably why I'm a huge fan of the Carol Burnett show, that kind of stuff. So anyway, I feel like I'm going off on a tangent, and there's still questions to be asked. There's still costumes to be talked about. So if I start to like go off into Never Land or whatever, you can just kind of like put up some hands or something in the comments and like tell me to shut up. So next question. Collabs, quarantine, and technology. Now, I'm not going to go too deep into the collaboration situation, because there will be other things popping up in the next few weeks that are specifically talking about collaborations, and I don't want to start like going down that road on Instagram and Facebook, because I know that it's going to become a topic. Let's just say that there are some that are now happening that started before the quarantine, and they involve creating sound, music commissions, and it has been super interesting and super exciting building sound scores while in this quarantine, because being able to just get lost in the sounds as you're creating them, that really works for me as well. In the same way that I get lost in the physicality, I can get lost in the sound, just me and like the laptop, the keyboard, the headphones, and just like creating these worlds with sounds, which I might share one of these days, maybe in a Zoom. We haven't talked too much about what this is going to shift into as the months go on. Whether it will stay on Instagram and stay on Facebook, or live on YouTube, or be something where people will be invited into Zoom. I don't know. You can kind of give your suggestions in the comments, but I do know that Instagram is kind of fun to do live, and so is Facebook. But if there's a interest in just showing up on YouTube, that could also happen. The next question. Ways you've subconsciously prepared for the pandemic. I'm going to repeat that one. Ways that you've subconsciously prepared for this pandemic. Well, of course I didn't see it coming, but I can say honestly that, and I might have said this before, I know that I'm saying this a lot. I might have said it before, but it's okay, because right now it's April 30th, and I've never said it on April 30th, 2020. So I'm saying it for April 30th, 2020. I feel like I subconsciously prepared for this because when I graduated from undergrad, I spent most of my time for like 10 years shut up in the house playing dress up and videotaping myself on a camcorder. And so those late nights, staying up all night long, covering myself in who did it and what for no reason at all, except for like, usually it would end up in a show that I was doing in DC. But it always just originated from me just kind of like creating these characters and situations based on how ridiculous I looked or how amazing something looked, and going from there, There you go. So that is where it all started after undergrad. Night after night after night after night in the mirror, in the costumes, putting everything on at once, taking some things off and videotaping that, and then creating all these different characters in different rooms to splice it all together, edit the whole thing, like add sound, whatever. And then that was pretty much what my life was during the week. Which was also in preparation for me figuring out what I was going to wear to work on the weekend. Woohoo! So I'm trying to respond to people because I realize I'm not responding as much this week. Hey, Mackie. So there's so many people up in the closet today that I haven't seen in a while, and I just want to send out a big giant hug to everyone because I have to, we're missing like one-on-one, like groups of people, like crowds, like just being in touch with everyone and seeing everyone and dancing with people and smiling and hugging and all that sort of stuff. But we're all gonna work this all out, and we will get back to the way we were, and we're gonna be much better, and we're gonna be smarter. We're gonna handle it. We're going to handle it and knock it out, right? So, before I go into any more questions, I can see that I've been rambling on, which is so not like me. Like, those who know me, well, I mean, I think that I'm pretty quiet and shy. So, I'm not much of a talker. Although now my mother keeps reminding me that I do talk quite a bit, and it's the type of thing that kind of runs in the family. So, but anyway, I digress. Now, this week, I will say I have not been to Home Depot because something inside of me has been saying, you know what? You have been really trying it. Like, I was for a while going out every other day. Now, mind you, I would have my mask on and my gloves, and I'll be like, I'm on my way to Home Depot to pick up whatever I can because I got to get ready for back in the closet. So I basically came to the decision that maybe it's not the best idea to just completely always frequent those places. Like, give it a break because I might be pushing my luck. So rather than going to Home Depot and finding all the supplies that I needed to like basically remix and bump up my hooves, I decided to just go ahead and play around with what's in the house, which, So, rather than talking more and more and more, this is where I am right now with these, which you can't really see. Can you see? I haven't cut it or anything. This is the beginning. This is just what I did basically today. But I don't have what are they called? Upholstery tacks. Yeah, like fancy thumbtacks that are thick and like really like sturdy. So I just use clear push pins to give me an idea of the direction that I might be going in. So this is where they are right now. You can see that I added push pins. This is just one layer. I'm gonna do layers and layers of hair, right? I'm thinking it won't be push pins because if I drag my feet on the ground, this part that sticks out will be super annoying and I will probably break them because I do imagine myself on the floor. Can you see this? It's hard because I have all of the different colors in the background, so you can't see where I'm going with it. But I basically started spraying them gold, but I still left some of the distressed element to it because I like the way that looks. But this is the beginning process of me adding hair weave to these. The other thing, and I'm just doing one at a time. The other thing that I'm thinking though, could I leave the hair weave long like this? Like it could be a little dangerous. Carpet nails for the base where you use push pins. Yes, thank you. Exactly. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Jedediah, beloved. We love you. Yes, carpet pins. So that's what I did today. Now, and I'll continue with that. Now I gotta go find some carpet pins. I guess I could probably order them on Amazon. So that's that. I'm just gonna try to drag my ironing board over because I just wanted to talk a little bit about this. Now I have to adjust this computer. All right. So this, I don't need these because they're not really part of it. I pulled this out because this goes back in line with what I'm thinking with this hairy creature that I'm developing. And this is just the base. I'm gonna just rotate it so that the other camera can see also. This is just the base. Before we leave today, I'll also show you where I am with the cotton costume. So this is the base. But for my hairy, hooved, claw hand creature, half centaur, half lion, half scorpion, I'm thinking everything will just be covered maybe with more hair than usual, which hair is not so much fun to perform in. But if you know me, you know that I'm constantly creating those like obstacles and boundaries and limitations for myself to make a performance more exciting for myself. Like somehow, I don't know, like that extra excitement of, oh my God, I can barely move. What if I fall? Or, oh my God, I can't see with all of this stuff covering my face. What if I run into man-child? Or what if I run over the edge of the stage? Or what if I bump into the DJ booth because my face is completely covered? So that's where I'm going with this shirt, right? So just imagine the hooves will be covered with hair. The top will have hair all over it. I wonder if I should like Should I give the hair some texture? I don't know. So the top is covered with hair. And then that's going to also give me the opportunity to also play around with the hair on my head, which this is not the hair. I was going to put this on, but it's not. It's not what I'm imagining, so I'm not even going to pull it out because you don't need to see that. It's cute, but right now it's a mess. So we're not going there. So hair. But yeah, a huge mane of hair. Almost like, I don't know, like bigger than hair that's kind of the same shape as Tina Turner in that first MTV music video that she had in the 80s, but bigger than that, like higher than that, and like hanging all the way down to my ass, right? Just hair, nothing but hair. So that's that. One of the questions that I had today in my email was if I had any advice for people wanting to, do more online social streaming, what they should do. Which is an interesting question for me to answer because I feel like I just stepped into it blindly. And I'm still not where I would like to be, but I'm more comfortable now because ultimately it doesn't matter, really. It's just you get on there and you just be yourself and do what you do, and like if people are interested, they're interested. If they're not, they can always shut it off and go to do something else. But I feel like it's the fun around creating the world, creating the environment that you're giving yourself online. So my advice would be to take some time to just like on your own time, try to step outside of yourself, what you would normally do, and play around with some things that like are just completely not you at all on your own. And you can videotape yourself doing something that feels completely ridiculous. But then also tape yourself doing those things that you imagine yourself doing, like being the best you can be. And then once you look at both of those videos, you might discover things in the ridiculous video that actually like work for you, and you can kind of mesh them all together and create some sort of like create something that has the best of both worlds. And it also feels a little bit like the more you can create something that allows your uniqueness to come through, then you can sit comfortably within that and not find yourself in a place where you're comparing yourself to anyone else. You're basically just competing with yourself, right? That's ultimately what it becomes. You're just competing with yourself. And then you just try to up that the next week, or the next day. When you wake up in the morning, you're given the opportunity to just like outdo what you did the day before. Now, whether or not I feel like I outdid what I did the day before is another question, but there's always space for me to try and do it tomorrow. So that's my advice. A long ramble of sorts, but that's my advice. How is quarantine strengthening your practice? I think that that's exactly what I just said. Actually, my practice is being strengthened by getting online in front of whoever is watching and opening my mouth and talking and moving and doing whatever comes to my mind to get comfortable with the screen. That is what's making me more comfortable, and it's strengthening my practice. It's also allowing me to think deeper about how I'm building things and get suggestions, like use carpet pins to decorate my hooves, that sort of thing. Allowing that kind of information and like thought process to flourish in a place where last year I might have felt like, oh my God, I could never get online and just ramble on and on about nothing in particular. Like, who would be interested in that? And maybe, maybe no one is, but here I am rambling on and on and on back in the closet about this, that, and the other thing, using my arms, blah, blah, blah. So that is how my practice has strengthened because of the quarantine. So let's see. I think I'm getting down to the last little bit of my questions. Oh my God, is it 7:51? All right. So how is it single? Again, you can send questions that you might have to monstahblackworks@gmail.com. And I think I'm going to remove this and get back to Cotton World. I want to remove this without knocking the ironing board over. I like using ironing boards for stuff. When I was in DC, I did a one-man show, and part of the set design was the ironing board. I had the keyboard set up on the ironing board. That might be fun to revisit that world. Keyboard on ironing board. And so this is where I am with Jupiter Wheatley. Jupiter Wheatley. Hello, Jupiter Wheatley. Hello, Jupiter Wheatley. All right, now, Jupiter Wheatley. Where is the front and where is the back? Ah, there you go. Well, okay. So, yes, that's it. This is the front. And this is the back. I'm going to have to rotate this for all the cameras. Let's see. Oh, although this should be covering. Let me fix it before I rotate it. That covers there. It's slightly revealing. Jupiter Wheatley, you're not wearing anything under that. Let's see. Jupiter Wheatley, I can see your bosom. All right. So, maybe I shouldn't have taken it off because now it looks weird to me. Anyway, it's still in process. But this is where I am now, and I'm rotating it for the third camera. This is where I am now in the process of building Jupiter Wheatley. I'm imagining that this sleeve, the sleeve is very long, as you can see. It's a very long sleeve. But I'm imagining that the sleeves also have their cotton balls all the way down. It's very ghostly, isn't it? Jupiter Wheatley. Very ghostly. So imagine cotton balls all up and down. I'm just going to take a moment to wave at everyone on Instagram, which I'm missing that. Every week I usually do that, and like I haven't waved at anyone the entire time. And my apologies for not waving and saying hello to everyone. So it is now we're like 5 minutes away from 8 p.m. And I always like to leave you with a little extra. One thing I want to say before I get lost in my physicality. If you have a moment, you can also go to YouTube because tonight at 7 p.m. on Zoom, JCAL was a part of something. They were holding 500 years and counting the East Coast blind spot. It was streamed tonight on Zoom. And that was Safe Harbors, New York City, and JCAL with New York Theater Workshop and La Mama Presents. It was part of Building Equity program. So if you go to JCAL's YouTube, you can probably check that out later. I think it'll be just up there, as well as we're working on making sure that these videos that I do also end up on the JCAL YouTube account, since this is a Jamaica Center for Arts and Learning residency situation happening here in my closet. So what I'd like to do now is I want to ride it on out with something a bit more physical because I'm feeling physical right now. So I'm going to go back to the beginning. Riding it on back to the beginning where I started. I want to thank you all for tuning in tonight. I didn't start it off with the clapping. So, yes, clap it out for all of the essential workers out there holding it down. We applaud you. It's Thursday night, so we just got one more day to get through before it's the weekend. So when I see you again, it'll be May. May 2020. Oh, I'm about to trip on some hair. So thank you for tuning in tonight. Oh. If you're looking for a way to get your workout on at the beginning of the week, join me on Zoom on Mondays at 4 p.m. You can send me an email at monstahblackworks@gmail.com to get the link to that class. It's a core workout with a little bit of yoga flow in there and just a little bit of freestyle moments just to kind of like break it up, shake it up. 60 minutes of hot and messy Mondays to build that core strength. Thanks for tuning in to Back in the Closet. Back in the closet. Back in the closet. Back in the closet. Thank you for tuning in to back in the closet.